Well, let's see here. So we did a bunch of Dead shows, and this is early. I can't even, it's early 70s, I think. I get a phone call at about 10 o'clock at night from the Dead's road manager. This is before we were really representing him, for everything, for all the touring they were doing. And I got a call from the road manager, Rock Scully, and he said, "I need your help." I said, "Sure, what?" And he said, "Look, Jerry and Robert Hunter just got busted on the New Jersey Turnpike." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, they got busted. They had less than an ounce of pot, but nevertheless they're in jail." I said, "Okay." He said, "I need you to go bail them out." I said, "Okay." He said, "But you need," I can't remember the exact number, I think it was $12,000. Has to be a certified check or cash. It's the middle of the night. There was no certified check to get. But we had cash in the Capitol. So, yes. So I woke up a couple of friends of mine, and we went to the Capitol. That safe sits in my den right now. I still have that safe. And we cranked the safe open, and we had the money. Oh, and I said to Rock, "Where is he?" And he said, "I don't know, exit so-and-so, some town called Mount Holly." I said, "Well, it's going to take me about 3 hours. I got to go to the Capitol. I got to get the money." He said, "Just get there as fast as you can." So I got there, and I realized the great fortune that I had, which because Rock Scully, who was pretty much stoned 100% of the time, all right, didn't realize that Mount Holly was a whole lot closer to Philadelphia than it was to where I lived in northern Jersey. And he could have called the promoters in Philly at the time. They would have probably gotten there in a half an hour or 45 minutes, and my life would have been very, very different. But we went down there and we bailed Jerry and Robert out, and we headed back. We headed back. They were staying at the Navarro Hotel. They were going to stay in the Navarro Hotel in Manhattan. So it took us, I don't know, 3.5 hours or so to go, because I drove about 40 miles an hour on the New Jersey Turnpike. Yes, exactly. And I drove, and Jerry sat in the passenger seat, and Robert sat in the back seat with a friend of mine. And Jerry and I just bullshitted the entire way home. And then we went to the Navarro. We sat down in the lobby while because he wasn't supposed to get there until the next day. It was the beginning of a long, wonderful friendship. I miss him to this day. He was one of the 2 or 3 brightest guys I ever met in my life. Grateful Dead, real Grateful Dead. Were, in my view, after the Beatles, the most sociologically important rock band ever. And you can see that now 20 years later when hundreds of thousands of people went to see the remnants of the band. I don't think there's any act that's been broken up for 20 years, short of the Beatles, and that would only be McCartney and Ringo, that could have that kind of joy and that kind of influence. What? Maybe Zeppelin, maybe, yeah. But Jerry was a very, very influential guy in my life. He was just as smart as you could possibly be. And I'll tell you one real quick little anecdote. I was and remain pretty scared of heights. Better than I was when I was a kid, but I'm not big on leaning over to, the railings up top. So there came a time when the Dead just, got gigantic, and we had to play stadiums because there was nothing big enough to to handle the crowds. And they decided, and they were making a lot of money in those days, even with the ticket prices being $20, you know. So they decided to lease a private jet to go from one city to the next. So I was on the road with them, and I can't remember exactly where we were, where the tour started. They flew in commercially to wherever the tour started. And then when the show was over, you know, we jumped in vans and we went to the airport to get on the private jet. I was absolutely scared shitless. I mean, the fact that I didn't go in my pants was, you know, was a miracle, because, you know, those of you that have ever seen or been on a private jet, they're not very big. You know, they're not even as big as a bus. You know, and I was a white knuckle flyer at the time, so I must have been white as a sheet. So Garcia walked over and he said, "Here, come sit with me." I sat down next to him, and they turned the engines on, and I started holding on tighter and tighter, as if when it blew up in the sky, me holding on to the chair was going to help me. Garcia started to take down the runway and started, and Garcia for the next 45 minutes explained to me precisely how a jet engine works and how completely unlikely it was that the plane would go down, that there just wasn't much that could go wrong. From that point forward, I got hooked on private planes, and, you know, I became a private plane whore. Any place I could get on one. But, you know, that was the kind of guy he was. You know, there are a lot of tragic things to say about Jerry and about the dead, but this was one smart, kind guy.